Hello and welcome to the third ever Scout Trio podcast. Today we have Zach and Blake with you. Sean's actually out of the country, but at the same time, Blake and I have had a great day together discussing baseball among a bunch of other topics. So for today with our podcast, we are going to recap the draft. We are going to work our way through our summer schedule, what we've seen over the past couple weeks, as well as what we will see over the next couple months of the summer. Some great talent out there preparing for the 2019 draft. And then we will go ahead and preview the College World Series, how we think that Oregon State and Arkansas are the two better teams in the country, and how we think it's going to be a great series between those two clubs. So hope you listen along and enjoy.
So with the 2018 draft just being 3 weeks ago, we had 72 players from our press list get selected. We're going to dive into who Zach thought went a little higher than maybe he thought, or went lower in his opinion. So let's dive into how many guys he thought went lower in this.
Great question, Blake. So when diving into players that we thought went a little lower than we thought they might have, we like to start with two college pitchers, Tristan Beck from Stanford, as well with Blaine Knight from the University of Arkansas. So starting with Knight here, Knight was the top college pitcher on our pref list that we ranked out. We had him as an A67. I had a $3 million valuation on him and projected him as a first rounder. Knight ended up going third round, don't remember what pick overall, to the Orioles. But at the same time, where I saw Knight, he was a right-handed pitcher, up to 96, if I remember correctly, with feel for three different secondaries, both a slider and a curveball, as well as a changeup. Really good feel for throwing strikes. So he had that advanced ability to throw all four pitches for strikes. Really quick arm, able to repeat the delivery, able to have the arm swing landed on time. There was just so much to like there that I was like, I can't rank that guy lower than going on the first day of the draft. There's a reason why he went not on the first day, and the only thing I can personally think of is his size. So Knight doesn't have the same problem when we discussed on the draft podcast with Madrigal and McLean being that undersized type of prospect, height-wise. Knight's just very thin. So Knight's probably 6'2", 6'3", but he's skinny. So one of the questions I've had throughout my time discussing Knight with other scouts is his body projection. So with a guy like him, with how quick his arm works, can that arm outstand and outlast 180, 200 inning season versus the 100 innings he's going to throw in college? Personally, I don't know, but at the same time, he has broad enough shoulders for me with the way the arm works, he utilizes the lower half. I think there's enough room for me to project out that guy has all the makings of a maybe not a 1, but he's the ceiling of a 2 and potential 3 starter in the big leagues. So for me, where I placed him on our pref list, I still feel comfortable with it. Even though Knight went in the third round of the draft, I still feel very comfortable with my projection of his tool set, because I think there's guys selected before him that don't have the same tools as him. They don't have the same stuff. They don't have the same fastball with fastball life, paired with the breaking ball, paired with the changeup, paired with his ability to repeat his delivery, paired with the way the arm works. I mean, there's so much there for me where I would have taken that guy higher. So, at the same time, he's the top guy on my list, where I was very, very surprised he went lower than he did. So moving next to Beck, Tristan Beck, right-handed pitcher out of Stanford. So Beck didn't pitch, I believe, at all last year. He was a draft-eligible sophomore last year because of his age, but he didn't pitch at all because of a back injury. So I think that's what scared most teams off. But where Beck excels, similar to Knight, is his pitchability from the right-hand side. So he's got the fastball, he's got the breaking ball, he's got all those things. He can mix and match well. He can throw strikes. I had $2 million valuations in A66 coming to the draft, or I believe, B66 coming into the draft on Beck. I think there's a very good chance that guy can be a 3-starter in the big leagues, where he got drafted in the 4th round by the Braves. I think that's tremendous value there. While the medical might have come up a little bit weird in some areas, and that's something that I don't know. I didn't see any of these players' medicals. I didn't see Knight's medical. I didn't see Beck's medical. And working our way farther down our list, I didn't see any of these guys' medicals. So I'm not sure if that was a red flag for teams. At the same time, what I saw personally in my in-person viewings for those two pitchers in particular were two guys where I thought they went lower in the draft than I expected them to.
So now let's talk about guys that went higher than what we expected in the draft. Zach's going to explain how this happened.
Yeah, great question, Blake. So when discussing players who went a little higher than we expected, there was no one that really stood out as a wow or a crazy off-the-board move where we had a guy in the 6th round who went in the 3rd round, or a guy we had in the 8th round who went in the 4th round. Nothing crazy along those lines happened. The two players that I can most think of that went a little bit higher, but at the same time I understand why they went higher than I projected them to, would be Niko Horner, who was the shortstop at Stanford, and then as well as Caden Grenier, who was the shortstop at Oregon State. So with Horner, I had him as a $950,000 valuation, if I believe correctly. Had him towards the back half of the 2nd round. He's a really, really, really good athlete. Outstanding athleticism. He can manipulate barrel at the plate. He's got smooth athletic actions to both his forehand, his backhand. He's got really good range. I think he could play second base. I think he could play center field very well. I think he could play third base if they needed him to. I think he could play all over the diamond as that super utility player. But at the same time, where I had him graded out as a B 45-50. So for me, at the same time, I could have probably graded that guy out as an A 45-50. But I just didn't feel comfortable getting there. And I don't feel much of a doubt that Horner's going to be a big leaguer someday. I think he's got a very good chance to be one. And that's why the Cubs took him 24th overall in the 1st round. But for me, I just didn't see the tool set enough to project him as a first division regular at the next level. So that's where I struggled getting him to that 1st round range, where I struggled him to be that 1st round regular, but first division regular. But at the same time, there's so much of a tool set there that I still graded him out as almost a seven figure player, dollar valuation wise, where I can see why the Cubs took him there. So he's the first player we thought maybe was a little bit higher than we expected, but at the same time, I can see a full reason why the Cubs took him there. Moving on to Grenier. So similar reason. I saw Grenier in high school. The kid is tooled up. He's got amazing defensive actions. He was a Team USA shortstop for a reason. Played shortstop at Oregon State and on Team USA over Nick Madrigal, who was a top player on our prep list for a reason. He's at least a 6th defender at shortstop. He's got the super smooth and quick actions to both his forehand and backhand, similar to Horner. He's got that 55, if not 6 arm from there. And he's got tools to play. But for me, that's where, similar to Horner, I grade him out as a B 45-50. I just didn't see the offensive projection, the offensive production keep up to where I can see him be an offensive-minded shortstop at the next level. I think he's going to reach the big leagues as similar to Horner, as that super utility guy who can play defense at shortstop, can play defense at second base, could be stuck in center field and do a very good job out there, could do a outstanding job. I think he might win Gold Gloves at third base. So his glove work is outstanding. He's got enough bat-to-ball skills, and there's some quick twitch in the hips where he's going to hit for some power at the next level if he learns to utilize his swing a little bit better. But at the same time, for me, I think there's enough offensive question marks where I question he's a first division regular. So that's where I graded out Grenier as a second round player as well, who got drafted as the 37th pick overall to the Orioles, where I like him. I understand why the Orioles took him that high, and I don't mind it. But for me personally, I had him more as a second round grade versus that first round grade that they got drafted at. So as we move on from the draft here, Blake, what's our next topic we're going to discuss?
We're going to talk about Scout Trio summer plans and our schedule for this summer, 2018. So we're going to kick it back here to Zach. And what have you seen so far?
So with the summer just starting, not too much is ramped up quite yet. But at the same time, I've still gone out and seen a summer showcase, summer high school showcase, as well as some California Collegiate League action as well. So with that summer showcase, didn't have enough to really break down a lot of the bats there. There was a few bats that I circled as players of interest that I would like to see over the course of the summer. All these players at this showcase were from either California or Hawaii, but a lot of those players, I would probably say about 85 to 90%, were from Southern California. So a lot of players that I would like to see more and more over the course of the summer. At that same time, as I just stated, I didn't really get a good chance to see a lot of the bats. I got a really good chance to see a lot of the arms. 6 arms from the 2019 class that really stood out, as well as 2 arms for the 2020 class that stood out as well. The top arm from that showcase was Cooper Benson, who is a left-handed pitcher from San Luis Obispo High School. He's had a really good feel for pitching from left-hand side up to 90. Good feel for a breaking ball. Could repeat. There was just a lot to like there. At the same time, there was a lot of other arms there as well. There was an arm from San Diego. There was an arm from Laguna Beach High School. There was an arm from Huntington Beach High School. There was another right-handed arm from San Diego. There was a lot of players at that showcase that I will continue to follow up, whether it be at area code tryouts, at area codes itself, whether it be at other scout ball workouts or scout ball games, or even their high school games, that I would like to see those players throughout the rest of the summer. So there was a lot of really high-end talent that you'll be able to read on our Scout Trio website over the next couple of weeks. I'll have those write-ups on those players from that Fullerton workout hopefully coming up shortly. So moving on to the California Collegiate League game, there was a lot of high-end 2020 college arms that threw. There was some interesting 2019 senior sign type bats that were of intrigue. But at the same time, nothing that really piqued my interest too much so far for this upcoming draft, more along the lines of arms for the 2020 draft that were of great interest. So that's what I've seen so far this summer.
And what is your next trip?
So on Thursday of this week, we are recording this podcast on Sunday, June 24th. Blake says it's 24th, so I'm gonna stick with Blake.
Summer, we don't really know.
Yeah, they all blend together at this point, to be honest. So Blake says 24th. I know I leave the 28th for North Carolina, so that sounds about right in my head right now. So yeah, like I said, I leave June 28th for North Carolina. The purpose of that trip is to see the college national team. So the college national team is obviously filled with a ton of talent. Guys on our pref list for the 2019 draft will be there. And yeah, I'll be there from June 28th to July 4th. I fly back on July 5th. And that's my next trip.
Great to hear. So what's the plan for the rest of the summer?
So I get back on July 5th. The Brewers SoCal area codes tryout showcase is in Santa Barbara starting on July 6th. Will likely make my way up to Santa Barbara for the 6th and the 7th to see the Brewers SoCal area codes tryouts for those couple of days. Then following month into the rest of July, Blake and I are actually making the pre-plans for a potential Cape Cod League trip. Not quite sure on the finalized dates of that trip yet. Our main goal is potentially to make it out for the All-Star game for the Cape Cod League All-Star game on July 22nd. So that's the main goal date, to be there. Whether we start at the 22nd, what are we doing further along on that trip, we're not quite sure yet, but those are preliminary plans to make out there. And then following up on that would be to obviously be at area codes. I believe area codes this year are from August 6th to August 10th, if I remember correctly, online. Those dates might be a little bit off date-wise. But at the same time, we will be at area codes, followed up by the PG National stuff in San Diego later in August. And those are the main plans for the summer.
All right, so now moving on to the College World Series starting tomorrow night, Oregon State versus Arkansas. Zach, did you actually predict this final?
So I actually did in our Scout Trio group text, as well as I told a few other people. I said, hey, once the College World Series was set with those 8 teams, I had a pretty good feel that the 2 final teams from both brackets were going to be Oregon State and Arkansas. Oregon State and Arkansas were the 2 best teams I saw all spring. They were better than Ole Miss. They were better than other teams I saw all spring. I know that fires up Blake a little bit because, as I said in another podcast, Blake went to Ole Miss his freshman year. But Arkansas and Oregon State were by far the 2 best teams I saw all spring. So there was no surprise to me that they were the 2 teams in the College World Series.
So now let's break down Oregon State. Who do you like the best, and what's their flaws?
So Oregon State, I mean, lineup-wise, wow. They had 3 first-rounders this year for a reason. All 3 first-rounders were on our pref list. Let's start at the top. Nick Madrigal was top player on our pref list. Madrigal does everything. I mean, he's legit. We talked about the hit tool. We talked about the defensive ability. We talked about the character. We talked about the leadership stuff on past podcasts. There's a reason why he was 4th pick in the draft by the White Sox. I think that kid has a very good chance to be an all-star big leaguer, if not a superstar in the big league someday. I'm all in on him. With Larnach, I had Larnach as a $2.25 million play, if I remember correctly. I'm not surprised Twins took him at 20. He's a quality player who I think has a very good chance to be a big leaguer. I think the power is going to play. I question the hit tool a little bit, but at the same time, I think the power is going to play quite a bit. Then we already just talked about Grenier in an earlier segment. He's got all the stuff defensively, so it's a matter of how much he's going to hit at the next level. But at the same time, at college-wise, he has enough of an offensive profile, an offensive tool set, where he's an asset to Oregon State. Lineup-wise, they're so deep. They got, moving farther down, besides those 3 guys, they got Adley Rutschman. Rutschman is the top player on a 2019 pref list. Catcher, switch hitter, who can catch and hit. I mean, he's got it all. He's got a chance to be a higher dollar valuation-wise than Madrigal even was. I mean, I'm all in. I got a funny story about Rutschman, and we might touch on it later. Let's touch on it now, to be honest. So I saw Rutschman in high school. He's a Pacific Northwest kid that I saw during high school. I drove up to the Portland area and saw him play a game. Defensively, he honestly botched five balls, and I was like, wow, this guy might not be able to catch the next level. And then at the plate, he has such a wide stance, which is a slow bat. And I'm like, I don't know if the guy's going to hit the next level. Then I was actually talking to a scout friend of mine. I won't mention the team, won't mention the name, who said that they offer that kid $1 million out of high school. And Rutschman said, no, I won't take that. So it looks like Rutschman bet on himself and made a good bet, because that kid has a very good chance to be a $4, $5, $6, $7 million player coming out next year versus the $1 million he might have got out of high school. But I wrote him up as a pitcher coming out of high school. I saw him up to 94 off the mound. He had some athleticism. I liked him better off the mound. I just didn't think he had the chance to hit and catch. Like, there was just a lot of raw tools there. And I can see why he went to college. And over these last 2 years, he's turned into the top player on my pref list for 2019. So props to him. Props to his work ethic. Props to his leadership ability to get himself better and make himself into a top prospect for the 2019 draft. So, like, as we talked about, for the next 2 drafts, Oregon State's got a really good chance to have 4 first-rounders. So they're legit there. They had either the best or the second best college pitcher I saw all spring. At the same time, there's a reason, you can read a little bit more later online, why Luke Heimlich, like I said, either the top pitcher or the second top pitcher I saw all spring, didn't get drafted by any club. Like I said, you can read more about that online. I couldn't write him up based on everything that's gone on in his past. So I take a step back there. I wasn't an area scout in the Pacific Northwest this past year, so I haven't spoken with the kid. I haven't known about his past. So I take a step back more along the lines of, I don't want to make a judgment on the kid. I believe in second chances. I believe in all that stuff. At the same time, based on everything that I've read, I can't personally turn that player in. But I understand, I've read a lot of stuff that had some teams that had him on their boards over the course of the first day, the second day, the third day of the draft. So, for me, he was the first, second, or third best pitcher I saw spring, without a doubt. But at the same time, there's a reason why he's not on the pref list. And like I said, you can read more about that online. Oregon State is just a dynamic club. They got so many arms. They got so many bats. They're just loaded from top to bottom. There's a reason why they're in the College World Series.
That's great stuff right there. So now let's break down Arkansas.
So with that being said, with Oregon State, Arkansas was the second best team I saw all spring. Similar to Oregon State, their lineup is legit. One of their better players, I don't think was even playing when I saw them. I saw them early in February when they came to San Diego. One of their better players now, I've seen a few games on TV, is Casey Martin, who's a freshman, who looks like a dynamic athlete. Honestly, a lot like Madrigal. Quick bat-to-ball skills, really good quick twitch, a little bit undersized, but can really run. Is playing third base right now, but at the same time has that maybe athletic ability to potentially play second or short at the college level and potentially at the pro level once guys move out of there. I like Jags Biggers, the shortstop at Arkansas, quite a bit. We had him as a 4th rounder. He's maybe one of those guys who we thought should have gone a little bit higher, ended up going to 8th round in Texas. I think there's really, really good values there. I don't think Biggers can potentially play shortstop every day at the next level, but I think he could be a really, really, really good second baseman. I just worry about the arm strength there. He's got a forearm. But at the same time, he has really good actions with the glove, with his footwork. So there's a lot to like there. As we move down that lineup, I mean, their center fielder, Dominic Fletcher, his brother, David Fletcher, I turned in as a borderline third, very good value in the 4th round. Shortstop at Loyola Marymount University a couple of years back. David actually led off for the Angels in the big leagues today. He's a dynamic player. I thought he should have gone a lot higher in the draft than the 6th round value he got. Sorry, my voice is cracking a little bit here. But at the same time, his brother Dominic is center fielder at Arkansas. I think he's got a very good chance to be a top 2 round pick for this upcoming year's draft. He's just a dynamic athlete. Swings it from the left side. Really good quick twitch. Hips really fire. Hands really fire. He's got enough defensive profile next to the level in center field. I mean, he's a dynamic athlete that can hit top of the lineup on the next level with some sneaky pop. He's a really, really good player. and we've already touched on Blaine Knight at the top of that rotation. He's a game changer. Him with Heimlich, I mean, that's going to be a really, really, really fun matchup to watch on Monday night. Moving down the rest of the rotation, Isaiah Campbell, we had a third-round grade on him. He was a draft-eligible sophomore, had Tommy John in the past. He went late to the Angels. I don't remember round, but it was late there. So there's a lot to like on that pitching staff. Matt Croonin, we have very high up on our 2019 draft follow list. He's a dynamic left-handed arm who's going to close out games for that team. I mean, they got so many guys. I mean, they have a guy in our 2020 follow list who transferred schools because he didn't give enough innings. I mean, there's just so much talent on both of those Oregon State and Arkansas teams. This should be a really, really, really fun series to watch. And man, I don't know about you, Blake, but I'm really excited for Monday night.
Now let's make a prediction. Who you got?
Jeez. Man, it's tough. Oregon State's the best team I've seen all spring. So let's be conservative a little bit, but not conservative in the full most. I say Oregon State in 3. How about you, Blake?
I like Arkansas in 3.
Really?
Keep it in the SEC.
So you think the best league in the country produces the champion as the College World Series turns out?
As we wrap up this podcast, is there anything more you want to touch on?
Honestly, not really. I thought we touched upon a lot of great topics here. We touched upon the draft. We touched upon our upcoming summer schedule. And we touched upon the College World Series preview. So bringing back to the draft, we were really excited with the draft coverage and content we were able to provide for our viewers. We will have more draft coverage following up this summer for the 2019 draft. Then when it breaks down to our summer schedule, like I said, I will be leaving for North Carolina on Thursday. And as I said as well, Blake and I are trying to plan out a potential Cape Cod League trip that I think we'll have a lot of great content for. So with the past content we've seen this summer, as well as the upcoming content with the North Carolina trip, potential Cape Cod League trip, as well as area code tryouts. We'll have all the video up on YouTube as that progresses, and we will have consistent reports as well coming up on ScoutTrio.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Scout Trio, as well as read our content on ScoutTrio.com as well. With the College World Series, as we stated, Blake thinks that Arkansas is going to win 3 games. I think Oregon State's going to win 3 games. So because we said that, probably one of those two teams is going to win 2 games, because we can't be right all the time. So likely one of those teams are going to win 2 games. But at the same time, we're really looking forward to Monday, and really looking forward to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to watch potentially all 3 games for the College World Series. But as we wrap this up, we hope you enjoyed. Like I said, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Scout Trio. Don't forget to read our stuff at ScoutTrio.com, as well as look at the rest of our stuff, and hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Bye.